The Bible gives us a little clue as to how to become an appreciated wife. And it's in Proverbs 31, 11 and 12, which I printed out for you. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. Here's the question for you. Can your husband's heart trust? Can your husband's heart trust that you are seeking, not that you're perfect, but that you're seeking to be a blessing to him? Can he trust that you're really seeking to be a blessing to him? Is your husband's heart safe in your hands? Is your husband's heart safe in your hands? Does he believe you're for him? Does he believe that you actually have unconditional love for him? Does he trust that, here's one, does he trust that you love him, not just your marriage? Because there's a difference. Do you really love him? Like, unconditionally? Are you for him? Because, women can sometimes, it's really interesting how we use our words. Sometimes I'll be talking to a woman and she's talking about her marriage, this, marriage, that. Oh, I wish we could improve this. And I want to invest in my marriage. I want to build my marriage. I want to improve it. But she's not really for her husband. She's for the relationship that she wants. So she calls it her marriage. I mean, she's talking about, I want this, I want this, I want to improve the marriage. She's really talking about, I want the marriage to work for me how I want it to be. I want him to be how I want him to be. You see how that can be a different thing than saying, I'm for my husband? So some husbands get really offended when all they hear about is like, I want to improve my marriage, let's go to this marriage seminar, because they can tell that it's not about that you're for them. You just want the relationship to be what you want it to be. And a guy can smell that coming a long ways off. So he needs to know that you're for him. So the question is, have you conditioned your husband to pull his heart away from trusting you? Have you conditioned your husband to pull his heart away from trusting you? Now, he might have done the same thing to you. But right now we're just talking to you. Have you conditioned him to pull his heart away? And you're thinking, okay, well, how would I have done that? Well, have you been pretty critical? Because who wants to, if you get criticized over and over again, are you going to want to be open with that person? No. So if you've been the critical wife, kind of just pointing out flaws or letting him know that you're always unhappy, and is he really going to feel like opening his heart to you and being close to you and having this rich emotional intimacy in your marriage that you love to have? Is he really going to want to do that if you've been super critical? If you've even done a lot of eye rolling at him, and I can't control this. I have springs in my eyes. I can't control it. It just happens. But when we roll our eyes at our husbands, it's kind of like dissing them. It's kind of like saying, oh, well, whatever, you're an idiot or whatever. It's just very disrespectful. So if he's trying to talk to you, you're like, oh, brother. He's thinking, why am I talking to her? Why am I going to share my deepest thoughts and feelings and hopes and ideas with her? Because she doesn't respect me. So just asking, do you complain a lot that things aren't good enough or things aren't done right or he did it wrong or whatever? If this is going on a lot, is he really going to open up to you? Is his heart going to feel safe trusting in you? And then the really funny thing and the ironic thing is we get really extra mad and disappointed. Why is he so walled off from me? Why doesn't he ever share his heart with me? Blah. So now we're really angry that they're not sharing their heart, but we actually help to shut down their heart. So how do we do this better? How do we interact better? Well, we need to examine how we interact with our husbands, and Jesus is a great model. Jesus loves us and came to serve us, and out of thankfulness to God, we are supposed to love and serve others. That's the model that Jesus gives to us. So we have to ask ourselves this question: is it my intention to look for ways to help and bless my husband, or am I actually trying to get him to change so that he makes me happy? Philippians 2, 3, and 4 is one that I've quoted a lot, and I just love this verse because it instructs us to focus on not just ourselves, although taking care of ourselves is important, and we don't want to be allowing ourselves to be treated poorly, but it also says that we should look toward others' interests too. It says in Philippians 2, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourselves. Each of you should look not only to your own interests, but also to the interests of others. So are you looking to your husband's best interest? What if trying to bless your husband does not seem fun? And just seems like, I don't want to do this, and it seems kind of ridiculous, this whole idea of like blessing my husband and serving him, it just seems ridiculous. Okay, I want to give you a couple thoughts. True fulfillment comes from serving God and blessing others. True fulfillment comes from serving God and blessing others. I don't know about you guys, but when I really do just focus on me, I'm not that happy. I was like, when you really get filled with joy is when you are serving someone else. Have you guys ever done something where you've like, I don't know, gone on a mission trip, or you've served, the homeless people some food, or you've done something that was just really giving, or maybe you just dropped off groceries at someone's doorstep that you knew was having a hard time, and didn't you just feel amazing when you did that? True joy and fulfillment comes from blessing others and serving others. When we're totally self-focused, we're actually never very happy. Never very happy. If serving your husband seems not so fun, maybe you need to change your perspective. Stop looking at your marriage as you against your husband, or even as the two of you as being separate, because you're not. You're one. You're one unit. So if he gets blessed, your team gets blessed. Do you know what I mean? Because so much of the time we still have like this separate mentality, like it's me against him, who's gonna win? I might be serving him a little bit more than me, that's not fair. But what if you started looking at you as not two separate, but one unit? Now, when you're blessing him, you're blessing your team. You're strengthening your team. You're serving your team. Mark 10 talks about the two will become one flesh, so they are no longer two, but one. So again, you're one team, one unit, one partnership. And that's why I believe you should put all your finances together. I believe you should do that because, again, it's part of like saying we're not two separate people anymore. We're one. But in all regards, you should be looking at this once you're married as we are one unit. So start sowing blessings in your husband's life because your team wins. Your team wins when you're sowing into your husband's life. Okay, how does a husband develop full confidence and trust in his wife? Because that was the other part of that verse way back when we first started. How does a husband develop full confidence and trust in his wife? It is through sustained actions, words, attitude, and demeanor that indicate she is for him. That she is for him. And what I mean by sustained actions, words, attitude, sustained means you keep doing it over and over and over and over again. There was a wife that comes here periodically. She had a really broken marriage. I mean, really broken marriage, like, pretty much like we're going to get divorced kind of marriage. And, a younger couple. And she had heard this teaching about being for her husband. And it kind of opened up her eyes, like, we've always been fighting and fighting and fighting. And so she went home and she decided she was going to try the silly little notion of being for him. And so she just tried to be for him. I mean, that's it. She just tried to be for him. And she tried to be respectful, and that's all she changed. She just tried to be for him and think about, I'm for him. I want him to succeed in everything. I'm for him. Even if he stumbles and does something wrong, I'm going to urge him to pick himself up and encourage him because I'm for him. And it changed their marriage. I mean, like within 6 months, but she had to do this sustained thing because he was suspicious at first. Like, why is she acting like this? She used to be at war, now she's not. What's going on? So she had to prove that she was serious. So it was not just 1 week of doing this. It was not just 3 weeks of doing this. It was I think 3 or 4 months before he actually told her, wow, I love you. This is amazing. You're the best wife. This is awesome. And they became best friends.